It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Alex Lytle, who works with the Florida Panthers as a brand strategy and creative services. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to work in professional sports?
That's a great question. To start, I didn't know in the beginning. I played professionally my entire career of high school, college, and I've always been an advocate for the sports industry, physically being in it, and then just mentally around it in my day-to-day. I love athletics. I'm very competitive, but in regard to the creative presence and drive to how I got to where I was today, I always have appreciated the National Hockey League and kind of the uniqueness of the sport and how fast paced and intense it is, that it was always something that I knew I wanted to be a part of. But working in sports itself, it wasn't something I planned. I just strived to be a part of. And here I am.
What was it like to get the opportunity to work at the professional level of the NHL for the Florida Panthers?
It was very rewarding and humbling. Definitely, it was like I just said, it was something I've worked towards my entire life to be a part of a major organization like the Panthers, who makes an impact not only for the sport itself but the community. It's just I'm just extremely respectful and humbled to be a part of the organization and working with the league. So,
What is it like to run, of course, being the director of branding and creative services?
it's exciting. Definitely every day here doesn't have a dull moment. What we do here at the Panthers from the Department of Creative, to your point, is we support and necessarily fuel every other department within the organization with creative vision and strategy and helping them tell their story better, again, to not only our fan base, but essentially to the world. And having that creative presence in our own unique fashion is something that we strive to do with everything from a ticket sale to a out-of-home digital marketing campaign to just a sponsorship proposal, and then obviously our one-off and different unique activities we do with different partners in the community. And even the fashion perspective, that's something we're pushing right now. Just having that unique mindset and just pushing the boundaries and the silos of what you think should be done in the sports industry, but reinterpreting it in our own new light.
What does a day in the life look like and the roles and responsibilities?
A day in the life of the creative department. I have a team of 3, including myself. So we are a small team, but we're very talented and very driven. It can range anywhere from having a set group of projects looking ahead, but also real time. We are constantly, like I said, pushing those understandings of what should be done in the creative world, especially within the sports industry. So here we could be working on anything from a few proposals for our partnerships team to maybe some strategy concepts. We just launched our NFTs actually yesterday for the 2021 draft. So that was an awesome project to work on, but we're also balancing other projects such as the new season look. And one of my goals with my team is always looking ahead and being prepared, but also challenging ourselves as a group to understand what we can learn from the previous season, what our handicaps were, and how we can expand on improving those and learning new ways to be innovative for the season or the next creative brief to come.
What is the process of getting graphics done and branding for the Panthers?
The process is first and foremost communication. We have a lot of very talented and strong individuals within the organization and leadership roles and supportive roles. Just the various teams here. It's really impressive. But It just starts with communication. So typically with our process is when it's a huge campaign brief, for instance, we can talk about season look and feel. So that's something we're working on now, the season vision. That's a larger conversation that you need to have with all the respectful and necessary parties. So for instance, in our case over here, I'm organizing talks with our game presentation team, the director of game presentation, Dennis. He's a super talented individual, and he's been with the team for some time, but also he has an amazing team that can bring a new perspective because of their craft, so their animation. And then you have me and my team, which is the graphic design and digital realm, but also we have a fine art perspective that we bring to the table, and our strategy and business mindset from the creative angle. And then we work also hand in hand with our marketing team, and we kind of all come together, talk about what we've learned, what we can improve upon. And then from there, we build out a strategy, a plan, kind of the logistics in a sense of what the next steps are with hard deadlines. I do believe in deadlines very, very strongly. If you don't have those and kind of like an end goal, then it's kind of things are all over the place for a little bit. But we just are very organized and communication.
Where do you get your inspiration from on when it comes to designing graphics and stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. So for me, as a creative, I guess to start to give some context is I believe passionately that if you should make your living your hobby, and it is. I don't come to work looking at the clock. I don't come to work like, when are we going to leave kind of thing. It's just an inspirational day where you're making a change within your respective field and staying passionate. And if you're not, that's something you'll definitely have to reevaluate as an individual. But in regard to visual research, is I see vision and inspiration everywhere. I can see it from a billboard on 95. I can see it in a fashion campaign. I can see it from another respective team in the league. But all in all, as inspiration comes, it should also come naturally to you. I don't think you have to force yourself to find inspiration. So if we're just in the kind of like a normal day to day, obviously there's always the Behances of the world and Instagram, but also challenging yourself as a creative to stay relevant and seeing what other brands in the industry are doing in addition to what your competitors are doing, I think is really important. So I challenge myself and my team to look outside the sports world. So outside the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, how can we challenge ourselves to see what Amazon's doing? What's Target's marketing campaign? Apple is a really intelligent brand with how they market themselves. It's very consistent and clean and sexy, but how can we reinvigorate that, study that, and apply that to our day-to-day? Also, I'm really inspired by different kind of fine art mediums and how we can adapt those natural mediums in a sense to our creative campaigns. So for instance, whether it's collage, gold leaf, if it's like a marker asset, like how can we build those and put those into our library? So all in all, again, to answer your question full-winded short, is inspiration is all over. I'm definitely very inspired by David Carson and his story and how he came to light. And there's definitely a lot of creatives in the league who are extremely talented, and I do see their work, and I think that we can all learn from each other, but definitely you have to stay relevant by challenging yourself to see what's outside of your normal day-to-day. So
what is the process like of creating a brand for a professional sports team such as the Florida Panthers?
the process is to not only look inside and reflect, but also look ahead. I just mentioned different ways to stay relevant, but also don't resist a challenge or change. If you get stuck too much in the past or what's been done, thinking that's successful, I think that's something that we reevaluate here a lot to stay relevant, but building upon that brand with what that innovative rally cry is, how we can really engage with not only the unique demographics that we have in our marketplace. We're in South Florida. So as you know, a hockey team in South Florida in general is already very unique. We're in a subtropical climate where you're at the ice rink and then 5 minutes later, you can take a 20-minute drive to be at the beach. That's something very unique we challenge ourselves on. And I do recognize that the team is a young team in comparison to some of the original six and obviously the other teams in the league, but we have a very strong story to tell. We have a natural presence within our community, and looking at that full scope as a branding technique is how can we keep the traditional sense with also being innovative and having relevance for the future? So that's where it's a big team effort for sure. It doesn't take just the creative team that I work with, my team and I, but also takes everyone in the company to have a say, have some feedback, and absorb that knowledge, and then kind of reinterpret the creative presence, the vision, the branding, the strategy from there, and evaluating that and kind of building that up over time.
What is it like to see fans enjoy the brand of the Florida Panthers?
It's very rewarding. We have a very diverse group of fans. Again, it's from the traditional, we have the millennials, we have the influencers, we have the young family, we have the grandparents. It's a very rewarding feeling, and our fans are very loyal and they're very engaging, whether it's on social or in game. And it's just a great feeling, not only for us on the creative team, but also the organization and ownership as a whole, to kind of work so hard at something with with the business side from a day to day, and it coming to fruition by seeing a single fan or a group of fans enjoy it so passionately. It's just rewarding.
Of course, as a fan, can you talk about what it's like to create a brand like a sports team? So use Seattle Kraken, how they just became in the league, what the process is like for new beginning teams coming in the league.
So I can speak definitely from the creative side. It's a lot of work. It's definitely not something that happens overnight. You have to really reevaluate your fan base, what demographics you're looking to target, what demographics you're looking to reach long term, kind of what's the evergreen appeal of your brand, and what's the symbolism behind what you represent. Obviously, when creating a brand mark or a brand rally cry, it's very challenging, no matter how simplistic the cry or whatever it is may seem. But it always starts at the core of what you as an organization and brand represent, what you want to say to the marketplace, what you want to communicate to your community, what you want to say to the world, essentially. So it always starts out with kind of like your mission. And then from there, you develop all the fun components, and that's your brand identity, your logo mark, your color palette, kind of the vision behind that. Like, what is your typography presence? How are you going to be seen in the marketplace? Like, what is that creative perspective like? What is the marketing strategy? How do you want to target these different fan bases? And what does your social platforms look like? As you know, social media is a huge advocate and component to brands day to day for success and to learn from like the analytics side. So just making sure you evaluate all your ducks in a row in a sense, and kind of building upon that. But it all starts with the story you're trying to tell.
Of course, when it comes to being a branded cry, like you said, what is that like, and what is a brand cry?
A branded cry, to your point, it's a rally cry. It's basically a chant or a universal rally cry for your fan base as well as your organization to buy into and have over time. So for instance, Go Cats. That's something that it not only represents the season vision, look, and feel, but the evergreen perspective of what the traditional side of the brand represents. And it pays homage to your fans. It pays homage to the team on the ice. It pays homage to the leadership in the organization, as well as the employees from a day to day. It's a universal cry to bring everyone together in your community and the organization, and have that buy-in and that passion behind the team itself.
Of course, can you talk about what the process is like in the trademark and licensing side of trademarking your brand and trademarking sayings like your branding cry?
That is definitely a legal question. Again, that's not something that's easily executed. There's a lot of research that goes into that as well with your internal legal team. So again, from the creative side, it's something we build upon, do our research on, but then after we get a good campaign in place before we go out to the public, we hand it to our legal team. So that's not something I really have a ton of involvement in, because I'm not a lawyer, but we definitely support him every day, and he's awesome.
What is something that you learned now that you didn't know before working in the creative and branding strategies?
That's a good question too. I have to say, I'm learning new things every day. They can be small, they can be large, they could be simple, they could be complicated. I guess like I just can't even pinpoint it, because as you grow as a creative, as a leader in your organization, there's going to be little things and big things that you learn from. It's more just kind of me evaluating and adapting to new processes and how I can better improve the efficiency of myself and my team, and recognizing that and showing balance, but also passion and perspective. It's every day is a learning curve. You're always going to learn little things and big things. I can't pinpoint one thing because there's quite a few. And again, it's a huge team effort here at the Panthers. And I think that's the best answer I can give you to that one.
What advice would you give somebody looking to work in professional sports?
The advice I would give to someone to look ahead to work into professional sports. I would say whether you're in the industry now or looking ahead, you're in college, you're young, stay passionate and innovative, figure out what your secret sauce is, and really reevaluate what you're good at. So if you're passionate about typography and illustration or design or publication or even web and kind of like analytics on that side, just make sure you know what you want to do. And the fact that you go to work and don't look at the clock and figure out what your secret sauce is, you can do anything, no matter what industry you're in. But from the sports perspective, it's very fast paced. So if you can adapt quickly and stay innovative and stay relevant, do your research, make sure you have a great team around you like I do. Everyone here builds each other up, never down, but also make sure that you're open to critiques and kind of looking in at yourself as well as others, and kind of how you can build and make a stronger adaptation to your portfolio. But sports in general, it's a great family. Here at the Panthers, it's a huge family that everyone's a part of and wants to lend a hand when needed, but also not afraid to give feedback and critiques. So just stay strong and passionate as to what you are and what that niche is. And sports is fast paced, and just like any industry, as long as you work hard and you stay driven and you communicate, as well as build up yourself and others around you and never build them down, you'll get there and you'll do great.
That's great advice. What advice would you have somebody looking to work in the branding side of professional sports?
So the branding strategy, to clarify as well, it's not only limited to the creative department, it's an advocate and a component that every department lives and breathes to a day-to-day. Our marketing department, our game presentation department, our business and analytics and strategy department. If you're looking to work specifically in strategy, that's something where you're going to have to definitely do your research. And again, I keep referencing stay relevant. You have to challenge yourself to look ahead at like what's new and upcoming, as well as like how you can build upon what's already out there, the successes behind that, and also learning from what other brands are doing and how that could adapt and kind of mold itself into something unique to where you currently are at. And consistency is key. Just like in creative and kind of the evergreen brand identity, for brand strategy, you need to have that as well. But from the strategy perspective, it's staying up to date with the times, whether it's an NFT or it's a new marketing campaign for the season and it's a pop culture reference. Like, it's really it's an innovative position, but it's also challenging. And as long as you're up for the challenge and do the research and stay committed, you'll do great.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find, of course, the Florida Panthers brand on social media along with you?
Oh, thanks. You can find the Florida Panthers at FLA Panthers on Instagram and Twitter, and floridapanthers.com is our primary website. And if anyone wants to say hi or send me a wave or any inspiration creative that you're working on, please feel free. Alex Lytle Design is my Instagram handle, and I love the chat art. So
thank you again, Alex Lytle, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Florida Panthers as their Director of Creative and Branding Strategy.
Thank you. Appreciate being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Alex, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks, Brandon.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.